Hey y'all, iRick Sky here. Welcome back to another YouTube tips video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, be sure to do so and ring that bell, and that'll notify you whenever I post another video. And check out all of my YouTube tips videos. If you have any YouTube questions, comment below and I'll try my best to respond within an upcoming YouTube tips video. Within this video, I want to answer a question from many people, and that is, what is the best camera to use for YouTube? Now, cameras, like other pieces of technology, there's a lot of different brands, there's a lot of different styles, there's a lot of different opinions. But I'm going to tell you what I feel is the best camera brand for YouTube, and this is based upon my personal experience using this brand for many, many years. So for starters, if you're not yet ready to upgrade your YouTube camera to something high-end like this, that's fine. A smartphone can get the job done. But once you hit the point with your YouTube adventure where you need to upgrade your visual quality, and check out my separate video where I talk about audio quality, but you're going to want to look at an interchangeable lens camera. Like I said, there's a bunch of different brands that make interchangeable lens cameras, ILC cameras. Now today, being September of 2024, the camera options that there were heated debates about in the past, you know, DSLR versus mirrorless, that's pretty much gone, because everything now for video has pretty much gone to mirrorless. So you're probably going to want to look at a mirrorless camera. There's a bunch of different brands. I've used multiple brands, but I've settled upon one brand, and that is the camera that I'm using here. It's the Sony Alpha. The Sony Alpha, in my opinion, is the best video camera for YouTubers because, number one, there's a variety of first-party Sony and third-party lens options for this camera. This camera, what makes it so great, in my opinion, for YouTube use is the autofocus. As you've seen throughout this video, and I mean, I'm filming it now, so I hope that's the case once I published it and you're watching this video, but the autofocus should have remained razor sharp throughout this video. Autofocus is something with other camera brands that those brands haven't perfected autofocus as well as Sony Alpha has. And I say that because in the situation where you're filming YouTube videos, if you don't have a film crew to manually focus and capture your video for you, if you're doing a tripod like this, filming yourself, narrating, whatever, then if you don't have a film crew, manual focus becomes problematic, because there's something called, and this is a topic for another video, there's something called depth of field, and if you get that really sharp like we have here, f2.8 aperture, you can see the background's kind of blurred, defocused, it looks professional, but I should be very well focused because this is using iFocus. But it in the situation where I was using manual focus but I didn't have film crew, if I walk backwards or forward, the focus would not be as sharp, because manual focus, the best way to think of it is that think of distance from the lens of the camera. That's the best way to visualize how manual focus works. This is using autofocus, so you know, I could do whatever, and this, because it's using eye autofocus, this should remain razor sharp focus upon the subject, which is me. So for that reason alone, and the availability of first-party and third-party lenses, I feel that Sony Alpha is the best option. And this camera that I'm using, you can expand this video's description and click the link there. There's a variety of different Sony Alpha cameras available. Some of the previous generations are very good. This one right here, and like I said, I linked it within this video's description, as well as the lens. It's one of the most current generation Sony Alpha cameras, but there's all different price points. But you know, there's nothing wrong, and this is something I encourage people to do, that I encourage fellow YouTubers to do. There's nothing wrong with getting a more entry-level Sony Alpha camera body. Just make sure it's full frame. That's important, because you can get APS-C or full frame. This camera body, I can use full frame lenses or I can use APS-C lenses. Now ultimately, you would want to save up and get the full frame camera body. The reason being is that by having the full frame Sony Alpha camera body, then you can use full frame Sony or third-party Sony lenses. And that's important because the lens is the most important piece, because unless Sony Alpha radically changes their mounting system, if you buy Sony full frame lenses, as Sony comes out with newer and more powerful camera bodies, if you choose to upgrade in the future, unless Sony abandons that lens format, you should be able to use those lenses for your newer camera bodies. The reason I say that is that you could buy, today for example, you could buy a discounted, maybe a few years older Sony Alpha camera body that's full frame, but it uses full frame lenses, meaning that the lenses that you buy, that's where you want to spend the most, because the lenses, you want to go for the high quality, because that's something you'll probably continue to use as you continue to upgrade your Sony Alpha camera body throughout the years. So it just makes sense to spend on quality, what they say, quality glass, just a slang way of saying spend on a quality lens. Because it doesn't matter what kind of camera body you have, whether it's a few $100s or several $1,000s, if you don't have a quality lens on it, the price that was spent for the camera body is irrelevant. The lens is more important than the camera body. But with that being said, if you have a high-end lens like the one I'm using here, and you have an older camera body where the autofocus is not as good as this model Sony Alpha that I'm using, then you're in a situation where, well, you got great glass, a great lens, but you're probably having to use manual focus a lot. So there's a lot of things to consider, but the key takeaways from this video, and these are my opinions, there's photographers, videographers, other YouTube content creators out there that have different opinions, but I will tell you with 99.99999% certainty that Sony Alpha is the best direction to go when you're choosing a high-end video camera for your YouTube content creation. Again, there's other brands out there. I'm not bashing the other brands. I'm just telling you from my experience that Sony Alpha is where it is, because you got a variety of different first-party lenses, a variety of different third-party lenses, and accessories like the microphone that I'm using for this. It's an on-camera microphone. I mean, I plugged it into the microphone jack, and I've got it sitting on top of the camera, and you can find it linked within this video's description too. And that's, get a good Sony Alpha camera, and then pair of and this microphone I'm using is not an expensive microphone, and it doesn't even use batteries. So Sony Alpha gets my vote. But I don't know, tell me what y'all think below. I mean, is Sony Alpha what you use for your YouTube content creation? If not, what do you use and why? I want to hear everybody's feedback. And with that being said, I want to remind everyone, if you have YouTube questions, comment below, because what I'd like to do is have the opportunity to respond to your question or questions within upcoming YouTube tips videos. Thanks for your viewership. Be sure to subscribe and ring that bell when you do, and that'll notify you whenever I post another video. And again, everything, cameras, like I mentioned in the microphone, expand this video's description and click the links there to find where to order it online. Y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, Irix Guy here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please be sure to subscribe to my channel, and when you do, ring that bell icon to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.